They once lit up the big screen with charm, talent, and unforgettable performances, but now, they're locked away, almost unrecognizable from the stars we once knew. In today's video, we're uncovering the jaw-dropping downfall of 25 actors who traded red carpets for prison bars. From Hollywood fame to shocking criminal charges, these stories will leave you stunned. What happened behind the scenes? How did these celebrities fall so far so fast? Stay tuned as we reveal the dark twists, hidden scandals, and haunting truths behind the familiar faces that vanished into the shadows. Harvey Weinstein. Once one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, the force behind films like Pulp Fiction and The Lord of the Rings, Harvey Weinstein's empire came crashing down in 2017. Bombshell investigations by the New York Times and the New Yorker pulled back the curtain on a decades-long pattern of abuse. Dozens of women came forward, accusing Weinstein of using his influence to coerce them into silence and submission. For years, he buried the truth under legal threats and intimidation. But the rise of the #MeToo movement changed everything. Empowered by a wave of solidarity, survivors found the strength to speak out, and the world finally listened. Their voices triggered criminal investigations in New York and Los Angeles. In early 2020, Weinstein stood trial in Manhattan. By February, he was convicted of third-degree rape and a first-degree criminal sexual act, 2 of 5 charges, and sentenced to 20 years in prison. His downfall serves as a chilling reminder: behind the glitter of fame, some of the darkest secrets fester in silence. Stay with us as we continue to uncover the disturbing truths that power and privilege often conceal. Joe Exotic, the king of tigers or the face of chaos? Joe Exotic burst into pop culture fame with Netflix's Tiger King in 2020, captivating millions as the eccentric, gun-toting zoo owner with a bleach-blonde mullet and a passion for big cats in Wynwood, Oklahoma. But behind the glitz, glamour, and growls was a story far darker than anyone imagined. In September 2018, Joe's world came crashing down when he was arrested for attempting to hire a hitman to murder animal rights activist Carole Baskin, the very woman who'd spent years accusing him of animal cruelty. What's more chilling? The hitman was actually an undercover FBI agent, and Joe reportedly offered him $10,000 to carry out the plan. But the drama didn't stop there. Carole Baskin later suggested that Joe had something to do with the mysterious disappearance of her husband, Don Lewis, even alleging he may have fed him to the tigers. While no charges were ever filed in that case, the accusation only added fuel to an already wild fire. In 2019, Joe was found guilty on 19 counts, including 2 counts of attempted murder for hire and 17 federal charges tied to wildlife violations and animal abuse. He was sentenced to 22 years in prison, which was later reduced to 21 in early 2022. Joe Exotic's rise and fall is one of the most bizarre and jaw-dropping tales Hollywood, or the Heartland, has ever seen. And trust us, the madness doesn't stop here. Stay tuned for even more shocking Hollywood downfalls. Danny Masterson. Once celebrated for his laid-back charm as Hyde on that '70s show, Danny Masterson now finds himself under an entirely different kind of spotlight, this time in a courtroom. In a shocking and deeply disturbing turn of events, Masterson was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for the rape of 2 women. But that wasn't the end of the story. 4 more women stepped forward, accusing him of drugging and assaulting them between 2001 and 2003, painting a chilling portrait of abuse hidden behind fame. What's even more alarming? Multiple victims claimed the Church of Scientology, of which Masterson is a member, worked to silence them. Some said they were stalked, harassed, and even had their property vandalized in a calculated effort to protect one of their own. After a mistrial in 2022, Masterson was retried in May 2023 and ultimately found guilty. His request for a new trial was swiftly denied by Judge Charlene Olmedo. This case serves as a grim reminder: justice may take time, but when it arrives, it hits hard. And trust us, there are even more dark and twisted tales from Hollywood's hidden underbelly still to come. Stay tuned. Ryan Grantham's fall from grace is one of the most disturbing tales to ever come out of Hollywood. Once recognized for his role in Riverdale and praised as a promising young actor, Grantham shocked the world when he was sentenced to life in prison for the cold-blooded murder of his own mother inside their British Columbia home. He was just 21 years old. But what truly sent chills through the public was what came next. Grantham admitted he had also planned to assassinate Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and commit a school shooting. Thankfully, those dark plans were stopped before they became reality. Inside his journals and video diaries, investigators uncovered a deeply fractured mind, a haunting mix of fame, isolation, and untreated mental illness spiraling into something unimaginable. Though he may be eligible for parole after 14 years, his name will forever be tied to one of the most shocking crimes in recent memory. It's a grim reminder of how quickly a promising life can spiral into darkness. And sadly, Ryan Grantham is far from the only one. Stick around, there are more shocking Hollywood downfalls you won't believe. Skylar Julius De Leon, a name once tied to childhood fame, would later become synonymous with one of the most chilling double murders in modern memory. Known briefly for a minor role on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Skylar's life took a dark and twisted turn after the cameras stopped rolling. By 2004, desperation and deception had taken root. That year, Skylar and then-wife Jennifer De Leon targeted Thomas and Jackie Hawks, a loving retired couple from Prescott, Arizona. The Hawks had listed their beloved yacht for sale, dreaming of a peaceful future. But instead, they walked straight into a nightmare. Disguised as interested buyers, Skylar and Jennifer lured the couple on board. What happened next was pure evil. The Hawks were bound, dragged out to sea, and mercilessly thrown overboard, alive, weighted down to ensure they would never resurface. The case shocked the nation. 4 years, it went cold, until a co-conspirator finally came forward, exposing the horrific truth. In 2009, Skylar was sentenced to death. But with California's execution moratorium in place, that sentence remains in limbo. That same year, Skylar began hormone therapy and now identifies as Skyla Priosa. While her outward identity may have changed, the darkness of her past still looms large. And if you thought this case was disturbing, just wait. The next story might haunt you even more. Jared Fogle. For years, he was the clean-cut face of Subway, the man who claimed to shed 250 pounds by eating their sandwiches. His story inspired millions and made him a pop culture icon, landing him cameo roles in Sharknado 2 and even being parodied on South Park. But in 2015, everything came crashing down. Behind the friendly smile was a disturbing truth. Rochelle Herman, a Florida radio journalist and concerned mother, sensed something was off. She began secretly recording her conversations with Jared, and what she captured was chilling. He spoke in disturbing detail about his interest in minors. While her tapes couldn't be used in court, they sparked an FBI investigation. The real break came when Russell Taylor, the director of Jared's charitable foundation, was arrested. Authorities found explicit material involving children, some of which was traced directly back to Fogle. Faced with mounting evidence, Jared took a plea deal to avoid an even longer sentence. He was sentenced to over 15 years in federal prison. Once celebrated as a symbol of transformation, Jared Fogle became a cautionary tale of deception and disgrace. But if you thought the story was shocking, just wait. What comes next might leave you speechless. Allison Mack once stood in the spotlight as a rising star, admired for her role on Smallville and praised for advocating women's empowerment. But behind the scenes, she was living a chilling double life. In 2018, the truth came crashing down when the FBI exposed her as a high-ranking member of NXIVM, a so-called self-help group that was, in reality, a secretive cult. Mack wasn't just a follower. She was a leader within a twisted inner circle known as DOS, short for Dominus Obsequious Sororium, which operated under cult founder Keith Raniere. Women were lured in with promises of personal growth, only to be manipulated, branded with Raniere's initials, and subjected to psychological and physical abuse, all under Mack's watchful eye. When the House of Cards fell, Mack pleaded guilty to racketeering and conspiracy. In a bid for mercy, she turned on her former mentor, handing over crucial evidence that helped send Raniere to prison for 120 years. Her cooperation earned her a lighter sentence, just 3 years. But when Mack was quietly released in July 2023, The public was outraged. To many, it felt like justice had been traded for convenience. And this isn't the last jaw-dropping tale we've uncovered. Up next, another story that will leave you questioning everything. Michael Jace, best known for his role as Officer Julian Lowe on FX's The Shield, left fans stunned in 2014 when his real life turned into a tragic nightmare. In a devastating turn of events, Jace fatally shot his wife, April, during a heated argument inside their Los Angeles home, while their 2 young sons watched in horror. April had told him she wanted to leave the marriage. Fueled by rage and desperation, Jace shot her in the legs, but the injuries proved fatal. What happened next was chilling. He calmly called 911 and confessed. By the time his trial began in 2016, the heartbreak only deepened. His own son took the stand and testified against him. Despite pleading not guilty, Jace was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. But the tragedy didn't end there. Friends later came forward with haunting stories of long-standing abuse behind closed doors, warning signs that were ignored for far too long. Michael Jace's downfall is a haunting reminder of how domestic violence can destroy lives in an instant. And just when you think it can't get any worse, our next story will leave you speechless. Todd and Julie Crisley were once the picture of Southern charm and success. Their hit reality show Crisley Knows Best, which debuted in 2014, gave viewers a front-row seat to their extravagant lifestyle, complete with designer clothes, luxury homes, and a picture-perfect family dynamic. But behind the glossy facade was a web of lies built on financial fraud. On August 12, 2019, the glamorous couple was indicted on a string of serious charges, including conspiracy to commit bank fraud, wire fraud, and tax evasion. After a highly publicized trial, they were both found guilty in June 2022. Todd was handed a 12-year sentence at FPC Pensacola, while Julie was sentenced to 7 years at FMC Lexington in Kentucky. In 2023, their sentences were quietly reduced, but the damage to their reputations was already done. Todd is now set for release in 2033 and Julie in 2028. Their dramatic fall from grace is a stark reminder that behind the filtered smiles of reality TV, the truth often tells a much darker story. And this is just the beginning. Curious who else fell from fame? Stick around, we're just getting warmed up. Josh Duggar, from reality star to federal inmate. Once known as the clean-cut eldest son from 19 Kids and Counting, Josh Duggar's fall from grace was nothing short of shocking. In 2021, his wholesome image shattered when he was charged with receiving and possessing child pornography, some of the most disturbing material imaginable, involving the abuse of innocent minors. Though he pleaded not guilty, the evidence told a different story. Released on bail as the world watched in disbelief, Duggar awaited a verdict that would forever change his life. In December 2021, a jury found him guilty, and by May 2022, he was sentenced to 151 months, over 12 years, in federal prison. Prosecutors didn't hold back, highlighting the extreme lengths Duggar went to in order to access the material. His legal team pointed to his lack of prior convictions, but the court remained unmoved. Today, he sits behind bars at FCI Segoville in Texas, with a projected release date of October 10, 2032. His case serves as a grim reminder of how even the most trusted faces can hide the darkest secrets. And if you thought this was the darkest chapter, brace yourself. What's coming next might be even more disturbing. Jen Shah. Out of all the stars who've lit up the Real Housewives universe, few have crashed and burned as spectacularly as Jen Shah from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. But unlike most reality TV meltdowns, Jen's downfall didn't come from catfights or cameras. It came from a high-stakes con. Starting in 2012, Jen and her right-hand man, Stuart Smith, ran a nationwide telemarketing scam that preyed on elderly victims, selling fake services, bogus products, and empty promises. Behind the glitz and glam of reality stardom was a dark empire built on lies. And for nearly 10 years, it worked, until the FBI came knocking. In March 2021, federal prosecutors dropped the hammer. Jen was indicted for wire fraud and money laundering by the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York. At first, she denied everything. But as the evidence piled up, The truth became undeniable. By 2022, she changed her plea to guilty. The sentence? 6.5 years in federal prison. Jen Shah's story is a chilling reminder that fame can't protect you from justice, and that behind every reality show smile, a much darker truth might be hiding. And just when you think it couldn't get crazier, oh, it does. Stick with Exposed Hollywood, because the next story will leave you speechless. If you're hooked, hit that subscribe button and get ready for more unbelievable celebrity scandals you won't want to miss.